Hey everyone! Welcome to our Endangered Species Week of our summer reading program. This is Ms Beth at the Peters Township Public Library, and I'm going to be reading a book today called Pangolina by Jane Goodall with pictures by Daishu Ma. This book is published by Mine Edition, a division of Astra Publishing House. I'm a pangolin, and I was born in a big forest in a warm and cozy burrow. My mother named me Pangolina. Every night she went out to get food, always returning so I could drink her rich, warm, delicious milk. On one special day, my mother took me with her when she went out. I clung to her tail as she walked slowly through the forest. When she came to a mound of earth, she got very excited. "Look, Pangolina, it's a termite nest," she said. Then suddenly, out of her mouth shot a long, thin thing that looked like a giant worm. It pushed its way into a hole in the nest, and when she pulled it back out, I realized it was her tongue, and many termites were stuck to it, waving their legs. She pulled in her tongue and swallowed the termites. Wow! So that must be what makes her milk so delicious, I thought. I watched as she enjoyed a wonderful meal, shooting her tongue out again and again and catching many termites. It must be very sticky, I thought to myself. So I went close to find out and found it really was very sticky, and for a moment my little nose stuck to it, and I thought she might swallow me, thinking I was just another termite. But of course I was too big. Those were wonderful days. I was happy to meet other animals in the forest. There was Civet, so beautiful with the dark circles around her eyes and a handsome spotted body. I was a bit scared when Wild Pig and her piglets came by, grunting and rooting in the leaves, but they were only looking for fallen fruits. Once I was startled when a large creature, a bit like a fox with wings, flew low over us. My mother told me not to worry, because it was only a fruit bat. Almost every night, Bat flew past us with his pals, and we became good friends. One day we saw a very strange animal. It walked on two legs and didn't have scales or fur or feathers. I was frightened. "It's okay," said Civet. "It's a girl, the young girl of a dangerous creature called human." The girl squatted down to look at us. She seemed excited and her eyes were kind. I wasn't frightened anymore. Then a loud voice called out. It sounded like, "I." And the girl jumped up and started to run. She called out, "Coming, Mom." I grew quickly. My scales got harder. I learned how to open a termite mound with my claws that had become strong and hard. And one day my mother told me I was grown up now, and I should go off and find a mate, and eventually I would have a baby of my own. That was how it worked, she said. She would be sad to see me go, but she had to find another mate herself. That was the way of us pangolins, the way we had lived for thousands of years. I was lonely, but I still had Civet and Bat and the pig and a lot of other animals who were my friends. And sometimes I saw the girl, who I had learned was called I, walking in the forest. Gradually, I got used to being away from my mother, and life was good until one day that I will never forget. I was sound asleep when I was awakened by a fierce barking and the paws of a strange animal digging at the entrance of my burrow. Voices I didn't recognize shouted something, and all at once I was pulled out into the daylight with a strong stick. A man standing on two legs pushed me into a cloth bag. I lay there terrified and trembling as I was carried through the forest. Two of my friends, Civet and Bat, had also been caught. "This is human," said Civet, who was older and wiser than me. "He doesn't mean to be cruel. He thinks we are just things that have no feelings, that we don't know fear or pain. He just needs to make money so he can feed his children." The man took us to a place where there were many cages full of animals from the forest. Mostly they lay still and silent, but some were crying. I was so terrified when they pushed us into a tiny, bare, cold cage. I cried all night, and I could hear the other animals crying too. I was thinking of my mother. In the evening, I was pulled out of my cage. "This is a good bargain," said the man who had caught me. "Yes," said another voice, "I will buy it." I was too frightened to move or even cry. I just curled up into a tight little ball as my mother taught me to do when danger was nearby. Now I would never have my own little baby to love. I was picked up and placed in a sack. But then I heard a voice I knew. It was the voice of the girl I. "No, no," she was shouting. "Please, please, I learned all about pangolins at school. They are endangered. Look at her. Look how frightened she is, Mom." And she began to cry. Suppose it was me being sold for someone. Please help save the little pangolin. Quite suddenly, I was dropped to the ground. I closed my eyes and curled up as tightly as I could. Over there," someone shouted. "I'm a police officer," I heard another voice say. "It's against the law to hunt and sell pangolins." The noises faded, and I heard small footsteps coming toward me. "You are safe now," whispered I. I opened my eyes and saw her looking at me, surrounded by many kind faces. She looked at the police officer, who smiled at us. "You must take the pangolin to a sanctuary," she told I's mother. I picked me up gently and said, "Let's take you to your new home." Well, that was a long time ago. I and her mother took me to a sanctuary where I was safe, and I learned that once humans understand that we animals can know happiness and sadness, fear and despair, and that we feel pain, then they become kind and care and protect for us. I'll finish my story by saying that I eventually came upon a male. He was so strong and handsome. We fell in love. And so I got my baby after all, a little boy who grew up and learned to feed on termites and make friends with all the animals in the sanctuary. People came to learn more about us so they could tell more and more children about the animals of China and how we have feelings too. What a happy way to end my story. Well, that's the end of our book, boys and girls. And if you come to the Peters Township Public Library and check the book out, there's some great info you can see in the back, all about pangolins. It talks about how they are endangered. There are 8 different species, and all are endangered. And you can learn more about them and what a cool animal they are. Look at all the information that we have on these pages that tells you all about these animals. And also in the very back, you can see some information, some websites, some documentaries if you want to learn more, and what you can do to help out because these are endangered species. Well, I hope you enjoyed the book, and I hope that at the end of our summer reading program that you're going to finish strong. You're going to keep reading. You're going to keep logging those books or minutes. You're going to keep doing some of the cool challenges that we have, and we hope to see you at the library soon.